Everybody, we have an extremely exciting announcement. You're gonna
cry tears of joy.
You're gonna shit.
Or that.
You're gonna fall to the floor
And shit.
and writhe around in ecstasy and shit. This is extremely exciting news. This is an emergency.
An emergency for a week from now. Emergency.
It's so urgent that I'm giving you a full week of notice. That is how urgent it is. We need your asses in the fucking seats, okay? We don't ask you for shit.
We don't ask you for reviews. We don't ask you for ratings. We don't ask you for anonymous Tumblr asks.
No, we don't tell you to follow us on any of our social media. We're just like so quiet and demure. We're not demanding. But this time, we need you to show up for Good Sports Podcast. Okay, listen. Saturday, May 23rd, 2026, we need you to go to our live stream. How do you ask? Can you find out about the live stream? From our Instagram. Bet you didn't know we had an Instagram. Well, we do. Our Instagram is goodsports_podcast.
Or if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, you'll see the notification for it when we schedule it, which will be soon.
Yes, we will be live streaming on YouTube. We are aware that Twitch exists. We're male podcasters going our own way and shitting, okay? And we need you to join us in going our own way by following us going our own way, which will also be your own way. So, friend, tell us about this live stream and what people can expect when they log on.
You actually don't have to be logged on to watch a live stream on YouTube. You can be logged out if that's something you want.
You don't even have to log on. Wow, this is so low effort for you.
You should be logged on so that you can subscribe to the Good Sports Podcast YouTube channel.
Hell yeah.
On our live stream, you can expect the main thing we've talked about for this one is Geoguesser. Going to be playing some Geoguesser. You're going to find out how low Hayes' understanding of geography actually is.
Yes.
And how overconfident I am at my ability to identify the world's languages.
M is going to be identifying languages. I'm going to be trying to identify trees and vibes.
I'll say, I think this is Ecuador, and you say, okay, great. So that's in,
Is that near the equator? And get ready for me to be like, this looks like Florida to every single place.
There's going to be a red barn and a field of corn, and you're going to be like, this is giving North Florida.
I mean, have you been to North Florida? There's a lot of flat cornfields and barns. So actually, we don't know.
We're going to be mid-glacier, turn around, there's a penguin. You're going to be like, this is giving Milton Keynes.
Yeah, this is giving Fort Lauderdale. This is giving Miami-Dade. Let's make a bet.
Okay.
I bet that I will be able to correctly identify Florida 100% of the time.
Statistically speaking, we won't even get something in Florida.
Well, if we do, I'll be here. So folks, what you might ask yourselves, why would I show up for a live stream on Saturday afternoon at 2 p.m. Eastern time on youtube.com when I could be doing other things and then watch the stream later? And the reason why is because you can roast us in real time. You can ask us questions. You can also sabotage or help us with our Geoguesser game.
Yeah.
You can help me learn geography. I'm a disadvantaged student who never learned geography and I need help. So yeah, come out and support us. Our live stream is going to be on YouTube on Saturday, May 23rd, 2026 from 2 to 4 p.m. We will not be going after 4 p.m., so make sure to be on time.
I need to go to bed, so
Em needs to go to bed at some point. I don't know what time is like in France.
That'll be 10 p.m. my time, so it'll be approaching bedtime.
So yeah, we'll see you guys there. Thank you again for supporting us. Thank you for coming to our first live stream. You're gonna shit.
And writhe in ecstasy like a little piggy.
Yes, a pig in mud.
Hey everyone, just wanted to pop in and say that this is the second half to last week's episode. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and give that a listen. Now enjoy our conversation from 5+ months ago.
Yeah, well, I have some life updates. I had another rheumatology appointment, which I was yet again pinning all of my hopes and dreams on, and already beginning to make plans for when I have a diagnosis and I have a treatment. And I think I talked on the pod before about how I am pretty sure it's psoriatic arthritis because of the psoriasis on my skin and the arthritis in my body.
That'll do it.
That'll do it, but apparently not. Apparently, according to this new doctor, it is not a quote-unquote slam dunk. So he can't give me a diagnosis because it's not a slam dunk.
What?
But then you go and read his clinical notes and he says, well, we can't rule out fibromyalgia. Even though I still, and I discussed this with him, I don't meet any of the diagnostic criteria for fibromyalgia. You know what diagnostic criteria I do meet? Psoriatic arthritis.
Okay, I don't know that much about fibromyalgia. Isn't that sort of one of those catch-all disorders of like, if we can't identify it as something else?
It used to be that. It is more of a distinct diagnosis now. It has its own diagnostic criteria. It's not only a disease of exclusion. And also, they're not even close to excluding shit. They've excluded 3 disorders out of thousands that it could be. So we're nowhere close to diseases of exclusion.
At this rate, you'll find out by 2050.
Yeah, and I've been doing PTs for about a month and a half. I started October 1st.
How's it going?
Hasn't been helping at all.
Ah.
Unfortunately, it actually caused a flare-up, and it wasn't the physical therapist's fault. It was 100% my fault because I have problems telling when I'm in pain, and it's not obvious on my face or in my body at all when I'm in pain. But I guess the reason why I bring up physical therapy is because when I went to the rheumatologist, he said, insurance won't cover an MRI until you've done 3 months of physical therapy with 0 improvement. Which seems extreme because I would assume after 3 months of physical therapy, I would hope that I'm seeing some improvement, and I would hope that I could still get an MRI to figure out, potentially get some more information. He said, there's really no other tests I can give you. There's no other diagnostic stuff that I can give you. There's nothing. And, you know, he touched my knee and he was like, I'm just not feeling inflammation here. And I'm like, my body is extremely inflamed. Every single test result, every single lab, every inflammation marker is extremely elevated. It's not just a little high. It's been consistently, objectively elevated. I said, well, what about all of these lab results that I keep getting back that are showing a pattern of inflammation? And he's like, oh, well, that doesn't mean anything. And I'm like, okay, so if these tests don't mean anything and measure nothing and have no diagnostic validity, why do they exist? Why did someone invent this test, and why do I keep being repeatedly tested for these things if they have 0 validity, if they have 0 value to you? I was told you have to wait until your next appointment, which is January 6th, LOL, never forget. And so that's like 2 full months from my original appointment. And then maybe we'll reevaluate. He'll let me schedule the MRI. So I started to feel a little suspicious because I messaged him a few days after saying, hey, what about an ultrasound? An ultrasound is cheaper. It's way quicker. It's potentially could show some stuff that an x-ray would not show. I've already had x-rays. They only show like a fractured bone. They're not going to show the soft tissue inflammation that needs to be present to prove that there's inflammation in my body. The only thing he wants is an MRI. So I messaged on my chart and I said, hey, what about an ultrasound of the joints where I'm having pain? That could be easier to sell to the insurance company. What do you think? He messaged me back and said, you're being impatient. You need to just wait for the MRI. That's the only thing that will help. I'm not going to dox myself and get into like what exactly my job is because it's extremely niche. But what I can say is that I deal pretty intimately with insurance policy.
Was he lying about the 3 months?
Just wait. So I go on to my insurance company's website. By the way, I will say, as much as I don't love my job, I have excellent insurance.
Oh, do you get it through them?
No. I do not work for an insurance company. I want to make that extremely clear. I would not do that. Insurance companies are evil. I don't want to work for them.
I know what your job is. I have a general sense. I just wasn't sure if it was affiliated to a specific one or if it was just like in the industry in general.
No. And that's why I know how to look shit up, because I have to deal with multiple insurance companies. So I went to Aetna's policy website, which is public information that's just available to anyone. You don't even need to be a member, and immediately found their MRI criteria. So if you have unexplained, undiagnosed arthritis or pain at all in lower extremity joints, you can be approved for an MRI after 3 weeks of conservative therapy. And by conservative therapy, they don't even mean physical therapy. There's no mention of physical therapy in the policy at all. By conservative therapy, they mean Tylenol, ibuprofen, icing.
You hit that years ago.
It's been 2.5 years.
You've gone above and beyond.
And also, at the appointment, he said, I don't think there's anything wrong with your immune... Like, I'm not even convinced that there's anything wrong with your immune system. So then why am I still your patient? Can't you refer me to someone else who can look at what's going on? But here's the thing. If it's not autoimmune, I feel scared because I don't know what it could be. It's not mechanical. I really don't believe it's mechanical because I'm having systemic symptoms. My hair's falling out. I have bald patches of my hair. I went to a dermatologist, and you know what she said? Oh, well, we're all getting older. And I said, well, why is my hair falling out? Oh, we're all getting older, so I don't really know why. Like, you should try anti-dandruff shampoo. And I said, well, I've already tried that. That's why I'm here. She basically shrugged her shoulders, and I'm like, well, can you figure out what's going on? And she's like, well, I guess we could do a scalp biopsy, and that might show us something. And I'm like, well, okay, can you fucking schedule that then? Like, I want to figure out what's actually causing it. I want to get a second opinion from dermatology because I tried to explain to her how my curl pattern is gone. My hair is so much thinner. It's so brittle. And I just don't feel like she was hearing me because I don't think that she's used to dealing with textured hair. I think she looked at it and she was probably like, it's not that bad because she's used to dealing with this thin ass white people hair. And I'm like, maybe this weirdly thin, brittle spaghetti hair is normal for you, but it's not normal for me. And you need to hear me when I say this is not normal for my hair. So she tested some of my levels, and my iron levels came back as severely low. And everyone's like, well, just take iron supplements and we'll test you again in 3 months. And I'm like, why is my iron so low? Like, I'm not...
Do you eat iron-rich food?
Yes, I eat iron food. I'm on an anti-inflammation diet, which includes heavy amounts of leafy greens, which are very high in iron. That's telling me that potentially my body can't absorb the iron. And you know what it also isn't going to be able to absorb? The fucking supplements.
Yeah.
But the only way they apparently can look into anything is if I take iron supplements for 60 days and then come back and repeat the test. So my body is potentially not able to process iron. My hair is falling out. My labs are all fucked up. None of them are normal, It's leading me down a path of quote unquote doing my own research because no one is explaining. I just feel like my body is falling apart. I feel like I'm slowly dying. I feel like it's getting worse and I'm just fading. And it's really rough on my mental health. And this rheumatologist gave me this muscle relaxer and he was like, well, make sure you only take this at night because it will make you extremely drowsy. And then when I picked up from the pharmacy, the pharmacist was like, do not drive, do not do anything, do not try to work until you know how this affects you. Like, it might knock you out for 8 to 10 hours. So I'm like, why are you prescribing me pain relief for only when I'm unconscious? I don't need that. I don't have trouble sleeping. I sleep perfectly fine. I don't need help going to sleep. And then I look it up and this drug isn't even approved to treat joint pain. It's for muscle spasms, which I don't have. So I messaged and I was like, this medicine isn't working. It's not providing any pain relief. It's making me extremely drowsy, so I can't take it during the day when I need it. And finally, after trying 2 or 3 separate medications, none of which are approved for joint pain, I finally got prescribed a medicine that might be approved for joint pain. Unfortunately, it takes 3 to 6 weeks to start working, and it's a fucking SSRI. And I just went off of my SSRIs because I couldn't cry.
Yeah, all roads lead to SSRIs.
Apparently they do. I mean, I think this one's like an SSNRI, so it is slightly different, but I'm pissed that I put all this effort into going off of my fucking antidepressant, and like,
Enjoy being pissed while you can. In 3 to 6 weeks, you won't be able to anymore.
I won't feel anything. Awesome. Back to this. But if it helps the pain, I think it's worth it. I almost just feel like he gave this to me to like shut me up because I'm being too impatient. Messaged my primary care. I said, hey, according to Aetna, I can go get an MRI now. Can you just call it in? And no response. It's been over a week. She just told me to take iron supplements and to fuck off for 3 months. At this point, I'm not receiving proper medical care. There's no way for me to like logic my way out of the fact that I'm not getting proper medical care, period. Because here's the thing, if I'm going to a rheumatologist and he's so convinced that there's nothing wrong with my immune system, why am I still his patient? And it's been, how long has it been since October 1st? It's been
6 weeks.
6 weeks. 6 weeks of physical therapy with no improvement. At some points it was worse. Clearly it's not working. And I don't think that it could never work. I want it to work. I think it might take a few more months for me to see any improvement. And my physical therapist was like, frankly, it sounds like you have an autoimmune condition. Literally, because they deal with people with mobility issues the same that I have.
Things that your physical therapist can say, but your fucking rheumatologist can't.
My rheumatologist was like, I think you have rheumatoid arthritis, which I have been tested for. It has come back negative, but there are forms of RA that do not show up on the classic tests, and that's not even being considered. And I don't know what inflammation this doctor was quote unquote not able to see with his magic fingers that my physical therapist is able to see. And something I also love is how often doctors will just dismiss any problem that you have and tell you to lose weight. But then when you lose weight, it doesn't help. So I just want all the fat and disabled people out there to know that your doctor will keep telling you to lose weight. And if you want to lose weight, that's great. But just know it will not lead to you getting better medical care, because I have lost nearly 30 pounds since like July. So like 4 months, which is kind of a lot. I went on to appetite suppressant. I am on intermittent fasting. I would weigh myself weekly. And this is also partially so I can get approved for top surgery. But it's also so that I can prove that my arthritis will not magically disappear if I lose weight. And it hasn't. It's gotten worse. And I don't think it's gotten worse because I've lost weight. I think it's gotten worse because I'm living with an untreated chronic illness and I'm not able to get a diagnosis for it. And I'm not able to get a treatment for it. And when I was at the rheumatologist, I said, can you just put me on a medication that will target my immune system being overactive? And he said, no, we're not there yet. And I said, okay, why? Why can't you put me on this medication and see if it helps? And then we'll know definitively if it's an autoimmune problem or not. And if it's not, I can get out of your hair. And he said, well, these medications have side effects. And I said, okay, do you think the side effects are worse than my current level of constant chronic pain and disability and lack of mobility? And he said no. And I said, okay, then why can't you prescribe them to me? And he said, well, it's just not the right thing to do. And it's like, well, what can I argue with that?
Not to beat a dead horse, but this is why informed consent is so important. You are clearly understanding the side effects
and the risks.
And are making the informed decision that that's something that's worth it to you. And as a doctor, it's his job, if he really thinks it's not the thing to do, to find some other thing that is going to provide the thing that you need, which it seems like he's just not interested in doing.
And the thing that will provide that, according to him, the only diagnostic tool he has at his disposal is an MRI. And according to his lies, my insurance, quote unquote, he blames the insurance, won't approve it until I've had 3 months of physical therapy, which is crazy. At this point, I'm like, are there alternative therapies? Should I go to a different country? One of partners suggested I go to California and try to see if I can get better medical care there, which I probably would. Part of the problem is I haven't been able to find a single rheumatologist who's Black, just period. In Massachusetts, the state that I live in. I did call my insurance company and they said they will cover any medical care within the United States. So I could go to California. I could go to a different state. I'm heavily considering it. I think the problem is I don't even know what specialists I need to see at this point, because I have now seen 2 rheumatologists, both of whom have basically dismissed me and said that there's nothing wrong with my immune system. I'm frankly getting really sick of reading through Google Scholar medical journal pages and papers, because that's not my fucking job. And I don't have the training, I don't have the understanding to interpret it. This is why I feel frustrated when people love recently to talk about RFK and Make America Healthy Again and talk about how stupid and dumb and uneducated people are for following it. And while I don't agree that they're doing anything good, and I don't think what they're doing has real validity, what I will say is I understand fully. I understand why people are desperate for alternative therapies. I'm desperate for alternative therapies. I'm at that point, and there are so many people, a lot of them women, who are living with chronic pain that has no explanation, and they have no prospect of any treatment. And I do feel like it's ruining my life, because I have, as we discussed earlier, I would love to have a child, can't do it, because what if whatever's going on causes my pregnancy to be high risk, dangerous, or even pass on to my child? Whatever's going on with me, I don't know what it is. So I can't make informed decisions about my reproductive choices, because I don't know if what's going on is going to be passed on to my child.
Yep.
I have stopped taking testosterone completely.
Yeah.
Because every time I go into a doctor's office, they say, well, your problem is testosterone.
Trans broken leg syndrome. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's getting to the point where I'm monitoring everything going on with my body for any symptom that could be a clue. I can't also be going through puberty while I'm doing that.
That's fair.
And I'm also really getting to the point where I'm heavily considering freezing my eggs, and I'm not going to be able to do that while I'm on testosterone.
Yeah.
It's keeping me from having kids. It's keeping me from traveling. I can't go anywhere because it hurts to stay in one position.
You've got all these fucking doctor's appointments too, yeah.
And I have all these fucking doctor's appointments. Thank God that I work from home. It's limiting me also from looking for jobs that aren't fully remote. If it's not fully remote, I can't apply for it. So it's cutting off my career opportunities. I can't travel. I can't have children. I can't access gender affirming care. Everything is on hold. And I understand now, I have full empathy for people who go down the route of, I don't trust the establishment, because I don't trust doctors anymore. Zero. I don't trust what they say at all. None of them.
I think that's fair. I think the step that the MAHA people are taking is displacing that onto a broader conspiracy.
But I think that if you were to experience what I have experienced, thinking that there's a broader conspiracy is not the logical leap that I think people who haven't experienced it think that it is. It's not crazy to say, I keep paying these copays. I keep paying for this medication. I keep going to all these visits, but why? And then I'm told nothing is wrong. But then why do I keep being fed back into the system if supposedly nothing is wrong? And I don't think it's a huge logical leap for people to believe that there's a conspiracy where profits are considered the goal of the medical system.
I mean, that's the hallmark of an effective conspiracy theory. There's something in the middle of it that speaks to a real feeling or experience.
Yes, there's always a kernel of truth in a conspiracy theory.
And the really effective ones speak to a very real frustration people have. I'm never going to get my conspiracy theory that firefighters don't stop fires in odd-numbered houses to take off, because there's not enough people that have been slighted by firefighters to harness that kind of frustration. In order to have a conspiracy theory that takes off, you need to notice a frustration that already exists and then prescribe to it a politically useful cause for whatever your political aims are.
And the more you call people crazy who believe in these type of conspiracy theories, the more you're just feeding into it. Because I I think a lot of people who are in my boat, we've already been called crazy a lot. So you calling people crazy is not a effective strategy to fight against conspiratorial thinking.
That's something I think about a lot. Though not just with the MAHA stuff. It's very difficult not to do this. Like I might have done it in this episode, but calling people crazy or stupid or insane or any of those things for having opinions that you don't agree with is not helpful, because not to talk about social constructs, but the idea of crazy is constructed. But also, like, crazy people walk among us.
Yes.
They aren't inherently like racist or whatever. Like if you have a auditorium full of, I think it's like 300 people, odds are at least one of them will be schizophrenic.
It might even be underdiagnosed because there's such a strong stigma. And I feel like we have made progress on things like depression, anxiety, autism, ADHD. I think all of those have made huge strides in decreasing stigma. But if it's anything other than those four things, no progress has been made.
I think we've destigmatized the words. I don't know that we've destigmatized the symptoms.
No, not at all.
I think calling someone who is, for example, racist or transphobic or criticizing a policy by calling it stupid or insane, it is both of those things in the colloquial usage, but the policy is enforcing exactly what Republicans want it to be enforcing. And it's very reasonable if you hold their values.
Yes. And I think that we need to get away from this moral superiority of looking at people who believe this stuff, because that's not reality. And I do think that reinforces people to double down. If they feel they're being condescended to, it's like, look, yet another person who's not taking my pain seriously, yet another person who doesn't take me seriously and thinks that I'm crazy for airing my frankly perfectly legitimate and real concerns and asking perfectly legitimate and real questions. Now, do I think the answer is raw milk? No, that is just not reality.
Do I think the answer is not vaccinating your kids? Also,
of course
no.
not.
Get your vaccines, people.
I got my vaccines. I guess just I have a new perspective now, and I am thankful that I have a new perspective of, wow, I used to be really condescending. I was dating someone who tried cupping for her pain.
I don't know what that is.
It's a technique where they pull the skin. I don't know what the studies are, but there's pretty limited evidence that it does anything, but it is a technique that is potentially pseudoscientific, but that some people have found does help them. And you know what? Even if something helps because you believe that it helps, it still helps. And at the time, I was like, how could you do this unproven procedure? You're so stupid. Why would you ever do this? And it's just like, I'm glad I'm not that person anymore, because if there was any evidence that cupping could help my pain, I would do it in a second. And I think that we need to have a little more empathy for people and focus instead on the people that are trying to take advantage of the desperate.
Yeah, all of this sympathy is not for RFK.
No.
It's for the people who fall into that, because RFK may or may not believe this, but even if he does, he's still taking advantage of these people.
Yes, and it all comes back to trying to sell a product that doesn't work, that isn't helpful for people, that only causes more health anxiety and people that are probably already pretty anxious and have chronic health problems.
I think one of the other things that this forces people to confront is that the experience of being correct is no different than the internal experience of being wrong. How do you know that you're correct about medicine and vaccines working? You trust doctors and scientific papers, and you trust that they're not lying to you about vaccines. And what do people who don't trust vaccines do? They trust different authorities who have the same level of perceived credibility in their eyes that the medical establishment has in yours.
100%. I fully agree. It's like you are not morally superior. You are following basically the same logical steps. You are following the same strategies, and you're just arriving at a different conclusion. And the problem here is not these stupid, crazy, dumb people. That's not the problem. The problem is that our health system is only set up to serve rich white men. If you are not a rich white man, It is not made for you. And a lot of people in our society are not rich white men.
A lot of people, I think, are temporarily embarrassed rich white men.
Yeah, it's like you think that you're gonna eventually be rich or have a higher spot in society, and it's just like not gonna happen, bro. But the medical system is made for such a small subset of people. It's just really funny because I have a friend who has psoriasis, not even arthritis, just had, quote unquote, I felt like I had a lot of inflammation and some itchy skin. Walks into the rheumatologist, immediately is prescribed a biologic that clears up all of their symptoms. And this person is non-binary, but they are perceived as a white man. They didn't have arthritis. They didn't have chronic pain. All they said was, I felt a little inflammation and I went to the rheumatologist and they immediately prescribed me a biologic. It's been 2.5 years of being disabled, being in pain pretty much every day of my life from the time that I wake up until the time that I go to bed. When I go to bed, I dream that someone is smashing my legs with hammers and that my legs are broken and that I look down at my legs and that they're fucked up. That's what I dream about. So even when I'm asleep, my brain and my body is screaming that something is really wrong with me.
I don't know if you've ever watched House MD before.
Oh, yes.
The older I get, the more I understand that House MD is actually wish fulfillment.
Yes, that would never happen. I thought that's what it was really like. A team of doctors who just will sit here and brainstorm all day about what might be wrong with you and test you for 100 things.
And like, House might call you a slur, but you know you'll be leaving there with the correct diagnosis.
The correct diagnosis every time, pretty much. Yeah, I wish Dr. House was real. I wish he would come call me a slur and slap me across the face and piss in my mouth, frankly. Do it.
That sounds like something you and Dr. House can get up to on your own time, outside of his role as a medical professional.
Well, I do think it's unethical to have that type of relationship with a patient.
Well, yeah.
He'll have to diagnose me first. But anyway, what I'm saying is he can be as disrespectful as he wants. I would prefer that to pretending to care and then
literally lying to your face.
Literally lying to your patient's face. How can I give informed consent if I'm being actively lied to? I want to just like call the MRI place and be like, can I just have an MRI and see if my insurance will approve it? I don't know if it will approve it without a doctor ordering it, but I'm just like, why can't I get a doctor to order an MRI? And then I asked the doctor, well, what if the MRI comes back as normal? And he just was like, I don't know. And then I said, what do you mean you don't know? And he said, welcome to rheumatology. Like as if he is so put upon. And it's like, in what universe is calling your patient inpatient and accusing them of not having enough patience? Like, in what universe does that ever get you where you want to go? That's an inside thought. I wish he had just kept that thought inside of himself.
Because I feel like doctors expect it to almost go like an assembly line where they see one person, they pluck the perfect cure out of their brain, apply it, and then move on to the next patient. And there's not enough space, I feel like, for any deviation from the expected patient behavior or expected symptom manifestations.
Yes, absolutely. Something he kept saying over and over is, you just don't have enough morning stiffness for me to give you a diagnosis. You're just not stiff in the morning.
Well, that's because you stopped taking the testosterone.
You know what? Maybe it cured me. But that's exactly what I'm trying to prove by not taking it. Because I'm like, no one can tell me my hair loss is due to testosterone because I'm not on testosterone. You know what I am on? Minoxidil. It's doing nothing. That's the cure for baldness. It's not doing shit.
Testosterone hair loss does not start that early.
Well, okay, it started before I started testosterone, so it just has nothing to do with it. My hair was falling out before I started T.
Your hair's falling out? And you said, you know what'll fix this? Testosterone.
I honestly, at that point, I was like, well, if my hair is going to fall out anyway, what's the point of waiting to start testosterone? I'm just going to be bald. It's fine. But you know what? It's not fine because my hair is important to me. And also it's really itchy. Like my scalp is itchy all the time.
Sounds like dandruff.
Yeah. You know, it's got to be dandruff.
Glad you've come around.
Thank you for hearing me out. The last thing I wanted to quickly talk about was I do feel like this is slowly becoming a podcast about being disabled, but something I wanted to bring up that I don't think is talked about as often is how being disabled can lead to the erosion of certain relationships. Because something that's happened since the last time we talked is that John and I are no longer on speaking terms.
Oh, geez.
So
Okay.
there was a day that I woke up in extreme pain. I thought something might be wrong. We shared a car and he was at work. I was having what I was really worried could be a medical emergency.
Appendicitis, for what it's worth. High urgency pain.
I was having sharp, stabbing, high urgency pain. And his response was, good luck at the doctor. Bye. And I know that to some people listening, they might be like, well, what more do you expect? But this person and I have been through some pretty crazy shit. I need you to be here for me right now because I'm having a medical emergency. He said, well, I need space from you, and cut off contact with me for several days. Didn't ask how I was a single time in 5 days. Again, the last he heard, I was potentially having appendicitis and going to the ER. Never asked that whole time how I was. And then he messages me 5 days later and says, I'm ready to talk now. And I'm like, okay, like talk about what? Like you've ghosted me for 5 days. Apparently you needed space from me because I needed your support. What's going on? And he was like, well, I really think we need to discuss this with a couples counselor, and I'll only discuss it with a couples counselor. We're not together anymore, bro. I'm sorry. So I just felt so angry, and I was like, look, man, I'm in so much pain every day that it's not really in my ability to process this with you and to sit through a couples counseling session with you so we can talk about your feelings when I needed you desperately and you basically ghosted me for 5 days. And I think when you truly have a disability and you truly are in crisis and you truly need help, I think that some people just can't handle that.
Yeah, I also think that there's sort of two, I don't want to say like failure points, but failure points for relationships. There's the moments of crisis, and then there's the relationship equivalent of 7-year-old you being like, it's going to be like this forever. And not everyone, but I think some people just can't handle the possibility that it's just going to be like this forever.
Yeah, and I think I'm starting to accept, or I'm trying to accept that I'm probably going to be disabled forever, and I shouldn't allow it to dictate, I guess, or put on hold everything for my life. And obviously, as I just discussed, I've put multiple things on hold. But I think he just wasn't prepared to be there for someone who has a chronic illness. And I think it is not easy to be there for someone who has a chronic illness and a disability. It is not fun all the time. It is not the normal level of, I don't want to say drama, but it's not the normal level of care that is present in most relationships between people who are, I guess, abled instead of disabled. I don't know if that's the right term.
Abled or able-bodied, if you're focused on physical disabilities specifically.
Able-bodied, yes. And I just don't think everyone is prepared. I mean, of course, if you ask your friend, oh, if I was disabled, would you support me? They would probably all say yes. But then when it comes down to brass tacks and you're having a crisis, I do think it is a potential failure point for relationships. And when you're disabled, you can have a lot more health crises than someone who's not disabled. Yeah. And so that's just way more opportunities for your relationships to fail. And it sucks.
I mean, my experience with this was I was temporarily disabled. I'm still not fully what I would call like back to baseline 3 years later.
From your ACL.
Yeah. And in my last 6 months in college, I was on crutches.
Oh my God.
Almost all of my friendships ended.
Yep, this is something that is not talked about, is the social and emotional cost of your relationships.
I wasn't even asking for a lot. It was just like, oh, I live off campus. It now takes me 20 minutes on crutches to get to campus. So I would like you to come to me now?
No, the slightest inconvenience is too much for some people.
There are obviously people who will be there for you, but it's jarring, I think, to find out.
It is jarring. I've lost casual friendships. I've lost a lot of casual friendships. In fact, I don't even really have that many casual friends. I think the only casual friends I have are probably you and our improv group. And that's it. These are people that I have ongoing projects with. That kind of maintains the connection. But as far as like acquaintances, I don't really have those anymore, because people who are just acquaintances don't have a lot of patience for rescheduling plans, or you always have to come to me, or today I can't leave bed, so we're gonna just have to do nothing in my room, or, you know, I can't go to this concert with you, I can't go apple picking with you, all the plans that you want to do, I can't physically do, you know, I can't travel, like I have limitations. And what I think I'm really realizing in this conversation is I think I just need more disabled friends who have another level of understanding. To be clear, it's not like I'm flaking on plans all the time. I always give advance notice if I don't think I can be somewhere.
I can confirm I get advance notice for like recording cancellations and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think I try to set up plans that are accessible to me. Like, for example, we record remotely. Obviously, I'm not coming to France. That is not something I could promise. My job is remote, so I can commit to that.
And when we were in person, there were times when you were like, I don't want to go to the library, just come to me. And that was fine. And you were pretty upfront with like, here's my situation, here's what I'm asking. And it was like, yeah, it's fine. I can drive.
Yeah, and it wasn't like you were coming to me every week. That was more of a, I really can't leave the house, or, you know, let's do it remotely. I'm not perfect, but I try not to be flaky. But even with that, even with the advance notice, even with making only plans that I feel are within my ability level, I still have lost friends, and I struggle to make new friends, because when you first start being friends with someone, you can't expect to have that level of intimacy and care. And it starts out as a casual friendship. And casual friendships just aren't always compatible with someone who is disabled, in my opinion.
One of the big pieces of advice for making friends is consistency. So finding a way to be seeing the person regularly.
Yes.
So that's like what improv class, for example, is pretty good for. But if you're having variable energy or ability level, then that's not realistic. So then the entire cultural expectation over how to form acquaintances doesn't work.
And that sucks deeply. And I think this is why a lot of disabled people struggle with finding and building community and maintaining community, because, yeah, someone might drop off the face of the earth for a couple of months because they're struggling. And how many of your friendships are still going to be there when you come out the other side and you're ready to resume the relationship as if nothing happened? Well, a lot of those friendships just aren't going to be there. I don't know. I think it's just sometimes hard to find people who are willing. And also, I think another thing that's hard is, like, if you're friends with me, a lot of what we're talking about is going to be my medical problems. You know?
I mean, it's basically a full-time job on top of your other full-time job. It's just going to the doctor.
Exactly. And all of my doctor appointments and the update and the lab work. And it's like, not everyone wants to talk about that. And that's fair. That's understandable. I don't want to talk about it either. I'm sick of it taking over my life. But that's the reality. Like, it is my life. I can't just ignore it. And I feel like I have a drive to find out what is going on so that at least I can put a name to it and have a diagnosis.
Not to talk about philosophy.
No.
There's this idea, the purpose of a system is what it does. And so we like to think that the purpose of a doctor's office is to provide care, but you have to look at what a doctor's office actually does. And so the purpose of a doctor's office is to categorize and label what's quote unquote abnormal or wrong with you and treat the label. And if you can't be streamlined into that process, it's just not gonna work.
Yeah. And I think that, going back to what you were saying earlier, I think doctors really struggle when an illness is presenting in a non-typical way. And I think that might be what is happening with me, is that I do think I have one of the autoimmune disorders. I just don't think it's presenting in a 100% typical way. And when you have an illness that is not presenting in a 100% typical way, which, by the way, no person is 100% representative of a diagnosis that they have. That's just not reality. And take into account that the people that medical studies are done on, if you are a minority of any kind, it's just not represented. That includes women who literally aren't a minority. So
yeah, women are in fact 51%.
Yes, no, hard fact, not a minority at all in the world as a whole. So if you're a minority or a woman or whatever,
if you're most people,
you're not gonna fit into the quote unquote standard of everything. And again, if you can't get past that initial hurdle of getting put into a category and diagnosed, then it's really challenging for you to get care. And then if you're Black, it's so much more likely that your doctor is going to label you as difficult, impatient, and non-compliant. And once you have non-compliant on your medical record, the likelihood of you getting care and a diagnosis goes down drastically. When I go into these doctor's appointments, I'm trying to do everything in my power to be the quote unquote perfect patient. I don't mind you bringing up philosophy. I like that framing. I don't think the purpose of a doctor's office is to care for patients. It is to diagnose so you can bill the insurance and then treat the diagnosis. And all these specialties and specialists are so siphoned off from each other is the problem. Well, thanks for listening. Definitely going through it over here, but I do appreciate having the pod as a little container for what's all been going on and a place for us to talk about like trans stuff, disability stuff, and just life stuff. Shout out to Boston Public Library.
Tolerator of our first few episodes being recorded in their basement.
Yeah, and they have free printing, everybody, so
you get $20 of free printing a month.
I believe it is $20. I think someone actually at the improv practice was saying that it's $20 of free printing a month, and that actually gets you pretty fucking far.
Yeah, I printed pretty heavily, never run out of printing.
No, it's been invaluable to me. The library has been an amazing resource because a lot of doctor's offices will ask you fax your records to them, and then you ask your doctor's office to fax the records and they never do. So I just fax them myself at the library, and it's free.
They also have, depending on your situation, potentially English classes or
adult education,
studying for the citizenship exam, potentially also different groups that can put you in contact with a social worker to help you with paperwork, depending on what your paperwork is. Potentially also resume building classes. Libraries are awesome. Go to them.
And again, I can't talk about libraries outside of BPL, but what I would say as someone who's had a huge struggle accessing services is don't call 311. It's unhelpful. Don't go to the website and send an email that's just going to end up in someone's junk folder. I think you should literally just go to the library and ask them for help with whatever you need, and they can probably direct you. Even if they don't offer the service themselves, like they can probably direct you to the exact person that you need to talk to. That's been my experience. So shout out to the concept of public libraries.
Yup.
Anti-shout out to the Catholic Church.
Also, another big thing of libraries is if your library doesn't offer something, talk to someone or send them an email.
Yes.
Ask them if it's something they'd be interested in. If there's enough people who want something, that's what they're there for.
And sometimes that amount of people is one or two, and they will deem it worthy, especially if it's like a smaller local library. If they're like, wow, 2 people asked for this. It's so rare that people ask for stuff. They might listen. Yeah, so rely on your librarians. They're fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Any final messages or shout outs you wanted to make?
Anti-shout out to the concept of French people asking me when Thanksgiving is.
Anti-shout out to Thanksgiving.
Anti-shout out to Thanksgiving, and also people asking me if it's soon or now or if I'm going to be doing anything. I always respond with, I have no idea. I'm here, not there.
It's the last Thursday in November. Except when it's not.
Yeah.
I think last year or the year before, I think the last Thursday of November was like the last day of November, and they just straight up didn't do it.
I think it's the 4th Thursday of November.
Okay, the 4th Thursday of November. But it's the same every year. So you could just tell them it's the 4th Thursday of November. I don't know how you would... Oh, wait, let me try to say it in French. C'est la quatre. Is that 4?
Yeah,
quatre.
Quatrième, because it's 4th.
Quatrième day. How do you say day?
Journée.
So, okay, I already forgot.
But that's day, not Thursday.
I don't know how to say Thursday, so. Mercredi?
That's
or no,
Wednesday.
That's Friday. 4 years of high school French, folks. That's what gets you here.
If you follow that up with 4 years of college French, that's what gets you here.
Yeah, no, I think if I had continued French in college, I would probably be fluent by now. Yeah. But I didn't, so. Here we are. We'll catch you next week. Bye.
Bye.
So this is very exciting. We have our first ever fully anonymous Tumblr ask. We have no idea who sent it. It's a mystery to us.
And it'll be a mystery to you, dear audience, unless it was one of you lovely listeners.
Which I feel like it has to be, because it references a specific episode. So it has to be one of our listeners. So this is your time in spotlight.
Anonymous asked, so about the definition of hooking up, ... Not to sound like a slut, but I don't know. I almost think having penetrative sex with your professor is normaler than having deep late night Zoom calls. Only love to you, though. Stand in your power.
Okay, this is an excellent example of an anonymous ask. So everyone who's listening, take note. This is the type of shit we want you to send to us.
I think you're just happy because they're telling you to stand in your power. They're validating your situation.
Well, I feel like my situation does deserve to be validated. And yeah, it's really awkward when they don't even have sex with you. It's like, what was that all for? You know?
I'm not going to respond to that.
No, but I have follow-up details for you, Anonymous.
Great.
So not only would this person and I have late night Zoom calls, I would show up for, quote, office hours, but then everyone else would leave and it's like 11 p.m., it's 12 p.m.
The standard sketchy professor activities, like if you were to just imagine in a police procedural,
Law and Order SVU.
when there's a professor doing sketchy shit, it's that.
Yeah. Okay. So then when we were in Italy, they would message me about how stressed they were with their crazy ex-girlfriend. They would send me like all these texts being like, I'm so stressed out. I don't know what to do. My ex keeps texting me and this is all just too much for me. And meanwhile, I'm like in a labor camp.
The episode you just listened to does not make you think that this is a comedy podcast. And the story that Hayes is currently telling does not make you think that it's a comedy podcast. But the sheer absurdity of that is wild.
It's absolutely wild.
I can't imagine, like, you weren't just out of high school, college student age, but you were still like
No.
mid-20s, early 20s?
So what's really crazy and makes this situation somehow weirder is that I was older than this person.
No.
And that kind of made me think,
No.
oh, okay, this is normal.
No, it's not.
But it really isn't.
That still would have been, I think, abnormal if they had been another student in the program.
I mean, the whole thing is abnormal.
Yeah.
They would send me screenshots of texts from other teachers in the program with them fighting.
No.
Yeah.
They should, no.
I'm actually looking back at our text thread right now.
Do you want to do a dramatic reading of any messages?
Oh, yeah. So they sent me a screenshot of a text thread with their ex that said, hey, it looks like I'll be moving in the next few weeks. You're welcome to come by and grab your stuff whenever you're free. Fuck, they said. So much is fucking happening. The leader of the program is so mean to me and pissed. Everyone's having a hard time. Is having doctor trouble and panic spiraling. Fuck, I'm so fucking done. What? I sent that to wrong person. So sorry.
I'm sure that was very entertaining for you to read over your moldy bread and one hard-boiled egg.
I know. So they clearly acted like they accidentally sent that to me for plausible deniability, but there's no way that they sent 10 texts in a row to the wrong person.
No.
And it was so funny because everybody in this program knew about this person's ex-girlfriend and hated her.
I don't know about all that. I think that's bad. Have you looked? Is this person still employed at...
They're still employed at... As far as I'm aware. They also have a 5 out of 5 rate my professor score, which is so funny. And it wasn't just me. They had inappropriate friendships with people who were 19, people who were 20. There was one person who showed up who wasn't even from the state that we live in. And they were like, oh, hey, this is my friend blank. And I'm like, this isn't your friend. This is a student at a program that you are professor. Like, even at the time, I was like, why are you friends with this this person.
Yeah.
That's not your friend. It's weird. So I will say this person has a history of inappropriate relationships with students. And then it all spiraled because I accidentally left some of my stuff in Italy and they said they would bring it back to me and they never did. They also said they would do an independent study with me in the fall so that I could get class credit because I was supposed to get class credit for this fucked up program that they convinced me to do. And they were like, oh, Hayes, I'm so sorry. We're going to do a independent study and you don't really have to do anything. Like, I'll just sign off on everything so you can get the same amount of credits you would have gotten in Italy. And then we get back to the United States and I'm like, hello, when is the study happening? What's going on? And then they're like, I just realized things were getting too intense, so I muted you. And I'm like, why would you mute me? You said we were going to do an independent study and you also have all of my stuff.
That is also so like stereotypical on TV what shitty professors do.
It's really interesting because this is the type of person who you would describe as they definitely act woke and they definitely act like they're so quirky and cute. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like sometimes it's those people that you kind of have to, I don't want to say watch out for, but people who they're not immune to the same abuses of power because it is an abuse of power. Like, that is not cool. And then to tell them we'll do a fake independent study and I'll just sign off on it and you don't have to do any work so that you can get class credit.
And then not doing it.
And then not doing it because you freaked out. I think I didn't realize until afterwards how fucked up it was. And I think that's why I'm feeling really triggered with the situation now because it went from I'm getting all this attention.
That's not going to be in this episode. They're not going to know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah, I forgot. You're so right. Well, I guess I'll just rephrase it to say that's why to this day, and I think this is part of it, is I feel triggered by hot and cold situations where someone is putting all this attention on you and then later when you try to pin them down or try to get them to take accountability or try to get them to do anything, they shut down and ignore you. And I wonder if you've ever gone through something like that.
No, because usually I'm the hot and cold, difficult to get a hold of crazy person.
Okay, well then why do people do that? Explain.
I have a relationship to my personal time and space, which is that I need it. And if I don't get it, bad things happen. And if I perceive anyone to be infringing on my time and space in a major way, I go, no, and then I don't respond. And whenever I'm asked to do something, even if I was probably going to do it beforehand, as soon as I'm asked, I'm like, no, fuck you, you do it.
Okay. That's so interesting.
And it's not something I want to be doing, but as soon as I'm like asked to do something, I become 20% less likely to do it than if I had just been left to my own devices to wander around my apartment.
But I will say I haven't noticed demand avoidance in our dynamic.
It's also very much like a routine thing.
Yeah.
We have a pretty good recording routine. I have a good editing routine.
Yeah.
I just do it. Anytime anything adds to my routine or changes my routine, it becomes a lot harder. But I also think I've gotten a good handle on the kinds of drugs I need to be productive.
Okay, that helps.
Yeah.
But I'm really glad that you're properly medicated now because you're doing a really kick-ass job with editing our podcast episodes. So
This whole thing was just a ploy to get complimented. Thank you, thank you.
Well, for men, it's really hard to get complimented, and that's why we're oppressed.
Hashtag misandry truthers.
Okay, actually, not to bring up toxic Tumblr discourse, but I'm curious of your thoughts on this.
We're not going to be including it.
Well, you know what? I'll bring it up on Sunday. This seems like something that's more appropriate to bring up on Sunday.
Okay.
You don't even know what I'm going to say.
Trans misandry?
I don't know what that is, but I was going to bring up transandrophobia.
Same thing.
Which I think is a similar thing. Let's talk about it on Sunday.
You'll hear that discussion in 5 months, so stay tuned. This is a plug to go back to listen to our old episodes, so you can hear what Hayes was talking about. This is a plug to stay listening, so you can hear my well-formed and not at all exhausted thoughts on transandrophobia.
Yes, and also you should go to goodsportspodcast.tumblr.com/ask. Is that what it is?
Sure.
leave us some anonymous. I mean, you don't have to be anonymous, but it's more fun if you are. Leave us some anonymous asks. It could be about stuff we talk about. It could be asking for our advice. I really don't know why you would want either of our advice based on everything you've learned about us so far, but we're here to give it.
Yep. And if you're one of those people who has been texting either me or Hayes with your opinions about specific moments from the podcast, what are you doing? Put those things in the comments.
And I know your ass is listening. You text me, oh, this was so funny. I love this part. And you know what? I love getting compliments, but take that energy and put it into the reviews. I believe in you. You can leave us a 5-star review. You can leave us a 4-star review. Unfortunately, the review system does not go below 4 stars, so you will only be able to leave us a 4 or 5-star review. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Or a thumbs up. There's no other direction the thumb can go.
No, I've never seen it go down. Good Sports Podcast, where everything is gonna be alright. Thank you for listening to Good Sports Podcast. I've been Hayes.
And I've been Em, and this has continued to not be a sports podcast. Remember to follow us on Tumblr at goodsportspodcast.tumblr.com.
Our asks are open, so drop your opinions, and you may be featured on a future episode.
Our podcast art was done by Ellis. You can follow them on Instagram at digitalfuture.cat.
Love us, hate us, let us know by leaving a review and rating us 5 stars on your podcast app of choice.
And remember to always be a good sport.